morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tudo Hoyane. This morning, I would like to go back to the investigation and look at some of the aspects of the investigation, especially in the light of what we know, what we subsequently came to know. Let us go back to the time when Senzo was just immediately shot, October 2014. After Senzo was immediately shot, you'll recall that teams of investigators were dispatched to the Khumalo house. Among the people who were in that investigation team was former Constable Tapadima. When they got there, they got an explanation. They got an explanation from none other than Zandi Khumalo and Kelly Khumalo. But let me for now focus on Kelly Khumalo. So when the investigators get to the Khumalo house, they speak to Zandi and Kelly. And Kelly, who does this, the one who does most of the talking. Kelly explains that there were intruders into that house, they were out to steal to rob them of cell phones, and one of them in dreadlocks ended up shooting Senzo Meiwa. Can you imagine this? In the light of what we now know that Kelly Khumalo, in one way or the other, is the person who shot Senzo. Even in terms of 636, Kininda and Balui's own narrative, right? They have identified as a mastermind. But in terms of the real narrative, the narrative of 375, we know that there were no such thing as intruders into that house. And that, but that Kelly Khumalo did in fact shoot Senzo Meiwa, somehow playing with that gun, which fired and fatally killed Senzo Meiwa. So, look at it from that angle. You go to an investigation scene, the first person you meet is who? The suspect. The suspect then tells you a story that, there were intruders into that house, one of them was in dreadlocks, they ran into the direction of the park, and you follow that lead. Now, Constable Tapadima also informs me that when they were assembled at the Fostoras police station the following day, after Senzo had been shot. Remember, Senzo Meiwa was shot at about 8 p.m. The following day, they were assembled at the Fostoras police station and dispatched to various provinces in South Africa. This was Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and KZN. He was part of the team of investigators that went to KZN. When they got to KZN, they found Zamukutle Mbatha already arrested there. The man had dreadlocks and sort of fitted the description of the person or one of the people who was supposed to have been an intruder in the Khumalo house and who ended up, in fact, shooting Senzo fatally. So they find Zamukutle Mbatha there. Yes, Mbatha was arrested as a suspect. But now when you ask the investigators like Constable Tapadima, why, in particular, what linked, Zamukutle Mbatha with the commission of the crime of murder of Senzo Meiwa, you'll find that the only thing that, sort of made him a suspect was that, one, he had dreadlocks, two, he knew Fostoras. But subsequent to that arrest of Zamukutle Mbatha, the investigator tells me there was nothing to connect Zamukutle Mbatha with the killing of Senzo Meiwa. And Zamukutle Mbatha was in fact arrested. I beg your pardon, was in fact released because there was no evidence, in spite of the fact that he had dreadlocks, in spite of the fact that he knew Fostoras, there was nothing concrete that could link him with the killing of Senzo Meiwa. So this is a situation that the police found themselves in, running around in circles. But the crucial thing that I want to bring to attention is, in the light of what we know now at this stage, that they went straight to the suspect, right? Straight to the suspect. Because at that time, they were not supposed to treat the suspect as a suspect. They were treating the suspect as a victim. Because they had been fed a narrative that there were intruders into that house. So they simply let the suspect off the hook and started looking in all sorts of directions for some mysterious people now. Because, if you turn your head away from the suspect, who do you end up with? You end up with, arresting anybody. For instance, in the case of Ntanzi is alleged to have had dreadlocks at some stage, but and he was arrested, and he also knew phosphorus, so he ended up getting arrested. I mean, the police, it is very difficult what is happening here. Because they ended up arresting, they were out to end up arresting anybody who had dreadlocks to start with. I wonder how many men in South Africa have got dreadlocks. And I wonder how many men with dreadlocks, also know phosphorus. So anybody with dreadlocks and who knew phosphorus was a potential subject and could just be picked in for questioning or arrested, right? But the dimension to this is, why was the house not treated as a crime scene? You see, that is where the real travesty of justice begins in this matter. Because this diversion away from the house then leads policemen to run in all directions, right up to KZN, right? Because somebody had fed them this narrative. So it was that these policemen who were being fed narratives, in spite of the fact that they were being fed narratives, Constable Maku and others and Tapadima, in spite of the fact that they were being fed narratives about intruders, they then pursued their own parallel investigation because they did not believe in the intruder story. In any case, the intruder story was not leading to any credible arrests. There you have it. Zamukutem Bata was supposed to be, a victim of the 636 or the narrative that people had been, broken and imposed them into that house or intruded into that house, but it came to nothing. So it would appear that from that stage, then the investigation now went into a witch hunt mode. You can call that a witch hunt mode. They were out now, the police or some of the police, in fact the senior police, right, were now on a witch hunt to find anybody that they could arrest and pin the murder of Senzo on, right? So they ended up with these 5 guys because they ended up saying Tanzi was the first one they arrested. Tapadima was no longer part of that process. They ended up, arresting Tanzi, and they said Tanzi made that, dubious confession that we always talk about, which I don't want to get into today. And they said Tanzi made that confession. You remember them Giacos who were in and around Tanzi, and Tanzi, sort of spilled the beans according to their own narrative. And that is how they ended up arresting the rest of the suspects. So it is very crucial that the murder suspect herself, we all know by in anybody's narrative, Kelly Khumalo ought to be charged with murder. So it was the murder suspect herself, right, who sold these people the intruder story. Obviously, there was a reason why she did that. She did that because she wanted to divert attention away from herself. Those people in the house, to Madam Madlala, Senzo's best friend, and all the rest of them, they knew exactly what had happened into that house. And everybody knew that it was Kelly Khumalo who fired that gun that fatally killed Senzo. But nobody was prepared to say anything. So it was up to the suspect herself to stand up and say, oh, well, you know what? Police, there have been intruders here. Can you please start looking for these intruders? We have been attacked and so on and so forth. I mean, that's literally getting away with murder. If you're a murderer or it's a murder suspect, and the police come to you and, you just divert their attention away to say, oh, well, look somewhere else, right? And the police do not even suspect that you could actually be the murderer or the shooter or the killer herself. What a travesty of justice. This is why we are in this messy situation. It all began so tragically. Having said that, let me thank you for all the views that I'm seeing. Thank you for all the subscriptions that I'm seeing. I will endeavor to bring you a rather lengthy episode once a day, and I think this is going to work out beautifully. This morning, we are talking about Kelly Khumalo and how the murder suspect herself, right, was never treated as a murder suspect. That is why policemen ran in all sorts of directions, all over South Africa in at least 3 provinces. Having said that, thank you and have a nice day.